What's up, everybody? So we are here inside the RX7. We finally got it back. We are going to do some errands today, and we are going to talk about what we did and what we didn't do to the car, what still needs to be done essentially. The experience with the mechanic, the experience with the dealership, the entire thing was honestly, it was a long time, but it was really good. It was a really good experience. Obviously people had their concerns about the dealer, and I'll address all those. So let's go start driving and let's talk about what we did and what we didn't do. Sorry, y'all. So obviously this is a stick shift, so trying to record and drive is going to be a little bit difficult. But we have essentially, we have fixed the car. All right, so what have we done to the car? What was done to the car at the mechanic? So the mechanic determined that the car had boost leaks, vacuum leaks, and the fuel pressure drop was inconsistent. So essentially he determined that there was a fuel leak and essentially in the tank itself. So I guess where the fuel filter and or not the fuel filter, where the fuel pump was at, where the assembly was, there was a fuel leak, and therefore there was an inconsistent pressure. So then we also had some boost leaks. So obviously there seemed to be issues with the second turbo. So the way these turbos work is when the first turbo is done spooling, it's when the second turbo is supposed to start spooling, and therefore you have sequential turbos. The problem with this car was that the second turbo was not functioning properly. So therefore I was having no power essentially on the higher RPMs. So that's why the car was driving, but I couldn't get up to speed, and that's why it seemed like it was bogging down up to speed after I replaced the fuel pump. So I did replace the fuel pump myself. The fuel filter, I tried to install it, didn't work, so you guys saw that. But we did essentially have all that fixed, looked at, and we replaced the vacuum lines. They are silicone lines now. They're red silicone lines now. I know Ricer, people are gonna be like, why red? Why not black? Why not something classy? Well, I like red. So I have already purchased parts and modifications for this car, but I decided I'm not gonna put anything on for a while until I have driven the car in the state that it is for quite some time. So therefore, right now, at least until spring, we will not be doing nothing to the car. I have to put coilovers on. The wheels are staying. I'm not going to get rid of the wheels. I'll just get them refinished. The wheels are 17x8 and 17x9, so they're not really too bad. I was trying to go almost to 10 on the back and maybe 9.5 or 9 in the front, but that's all right. I did pick the car up yesterday. It did get dark on the way home, or else I would have recorded a video, but I did do some night driving, so I did get some footage of that, some POV footage of that, and I'll show you guys that as I'm talking about it. But the car drives really good. The car needs headlights because the headlights are crappy. I could not see anything at all last night. But otherwise, car needs tires, car needs coilovers, car needs radiator, car needs intercooler, car needs the last few ones there, the car doesn't really need it, but definitely tires it does need. This car, all RX7s essentially, they have problems with the with cooling, so the radiator and the intercooler essentially to help that. So cooling mods are like the best thing you can do on RX7s because of that. So therefore that's going to be the first things we do is cooling mods. And what else? Got seats for the car. I do not like these seats. They're, I don't know, they're comfortable, but they like, I don't like the texture of them. I don't like the feel of them. So I did get seats. So we'll put those on whenever they get in. That takes like 45 days, unfortunately. So now I'm just gonna do some driving, and you guys are gonna see how that goes. Car drives really good, like super good. All right, so we are in second gear. Honestly, this car the gear ratios, I thought, so in my Miata, the gear ratios were really crappy. Like second gear was probably like 25 miles an hour, maybe 30 miles an hour. Third gear got me up to 50. Fourth gear, I could do fourth gear 70 miles an hour, but it felt rough, so I always went into fifth gear when I got up that high. So whenever I was driving last night, I pretty much get to 70 miles an hour in third gear, and had no problems. But I did, obviously on the highway, I did get the car up to fifth gear. The car drives and handles amazing. So here we got amazing, absolutely amazing. So I haven't really had a chance because I don't have a speedometer and a RPM gauge yet. So those are some of the things that were not done. We did not do the speedo. We did not do the RPM gauge. The cluster essentially was such a cluster that it could not be repaired at the mechanic. So I have to send it to a specialty shop in Atlanta who repairs clusters. And essentially, it's not cheap, but he says that for the things that he's seen in RX7s, they're pretty typical. The corrosion on the board, the motors being blown, the capacitor is leaking, all that stuff is essentially normal in an RX7. So therefore, he feels very confident that he can fix it. He said, if all else fails and I can't fix it, I'll help you get a different one, and I'll transfer the mileage from your gauge to that one, and I'll also ship it back to you. So he'll refund the money for the work, and he will essentially use that money to buy another gauge cluster if I want to, or just send mine back, and we'll go from there. But at the end of the day, I have to try something because I need to be able to see how fast I'm going, and I need to be able to see the RPMs. Right now, I'm literally driving off sound, and it's hard to do that in this car because I've never driven this car, right? I've never driven a car with an RPM gauge working, like RX7 with the RPM gauge working, so I don't know where it's supposed to be with the sound that I'm hearing. So therefore, there you go. But so what I usually have been doing, just as I got it yesterday, was I just been gauging my speed from other vehicles on the road. So hopefully they're not speeding, so I'm not speeding. All right, so we're out of the car now, and just look at it. Just look at it. I mean, this thing is super slick. I have no complaints. No complaints whatsoever. So as I mentioned, these wheels here are going to get refurbished. These are 17 by 8 in the front, 17 by 9 in the rear. So 17 by 9, I can probably get tires for this car for like $600. So it does need to be cleaned because it was sitting outside at the shop and it did rain on my way home yesterday. So the car needs to be cleaned. The parts that I have ordered for the car essentially are pretty typical stuff. New lip. This lip is scraped up, faded. I could paint it, but I don't want to. So I just got a different lip that doesn't look the same. It's a little bit more sharp. I did get a side. It's not really called a side skirt. It's more of like a step. It's more of a step, but you don't step on it. It's just, that's just what they call it. It's not a side skirt because it doesn't take over the bottom of the vehicle. It just sits underneath it. And then I did get a diffuser for the car. All that will be coming, and all that will look great and make the car look amazing. But other than that, this car is driving amazing, driving great. And I know I keep saying this, but the car, because of the issues that it had, I never really got a chance to drive it. So now that it doesn't have issues, I'm gonna drive it exactly how it is. And then whenever it gets to the point, like the aero stuff, a lip, skirt, and the diffuser, it's not gonna make a huge difference. And then, seats won't make a huge difference. It's just for me, comfortability. So I won't be doing anything performance-wise until I have driven the car, probably, until the spring. So I'll try to get unless it's like snowing outside, I'll try to get out and I'll try to do a lot of stuff in the car because of the fact that I want to be able to experience the car before I do stuff to it. But it is going to get stuff done to it, because at the end of the day, it's an RX7. It does have issues with reliability, so we got to do reliability mods. We do have to make sure that the car's not going to blow up on us. So intercooler, radiator, intake, yeah, those are the main ones. So actually, while I'm here, since I'm out of the car now, I'll show you guys what the engine bay looks like, because the mechanic also cleaned the engine bay, which is amazing. I definitely appreciate it. So let's talk about my experience with the mechanic. CNC Motorsports out of Radcliffe, Kentucky. CNC Motorsports out of Radcliffe, Kentucky did a bang-up job on this car. Amazing work. Talked to me pretty much the entire time. I could bother him, and I hate to say that I bothered him because I did, but I could bother him about anything, and he was usually pretty quick to respond. Now, the car obviously had issues, and he had to work those issues out, so he wasn't responding right away because he didn't really know an answer every time. Like, I could ask him, hey, what's wrong with this? He has to go look at it. But look at it. Look how clean this looks. He did put some red lines here. They're not that, obviously it's not a bunch of lines, but they're in here, right there in that area. Some lines here, a line back there. The engine bay is sharp, clean. So we're gonna clean up the engine bay. All this plastic in the front gotta go. So intake is right here. All this is the air intake. All that's gonna get replaced. This is the intercooler. So the intercooler is actually behind the radiator in these cars, which makes it to where it doesn't cool as needed. So therefore, that's going to go. It's going to get either replaced with a V-mount, which is super expensive, or it's going to be replaced with a front mount intercooler. I haven't decided yet. And then obviously the radiator is under here. All that's going to be moved around, and essentially we're going to be able to see the engine a lot better instead of all this plastic stuff. So great guy, great amount of work, great amount of help, great communication. I can't really say enough good things about CNC Motorsports. Chris over there, super great guy, super great guy. Now let's talk about the dealership. So the dealership, as you all know, was having communication issues. So they weren't getting back to me as needed. And I was getting pretty frustrated about that entire scenario. But after some time, I realized that maybe I was being too needy. So I would send him text messages and I would let it go. And I would send him text messages and I would let it go. And then it just got to the point where I never got a response. And it was the Monday of the Thanksgiving week, and I called him and I was like, hey man, like, why am I not getting any response? He said it was the holidays. I could understand that, but the holidays was the week that I was calling. So I was just like, come on, man. I just need you to at least tell me that you're seeing this stuff that I'm sending you, or at least say okay, say thumbs up, anything. So after that, he was pretty much understanding. So then the car was finished, right? So the car was finished. So I picked it up yesterday, but the car was finished a while back, probably like last week, but he just needed to figure out this gauge cluster situation, and at the end of the day he couldn't figure it out, so he just had to put it back in. I'm gonna be taking it out and shipping it to the person in Atlanta that does fix the gauge clusters. Hopefully hopefully it's not bad. Hopefully he can get it fixed, but essentially that's what's happening. The dealership has paid for the repairs. They have essentially said they did what they said they were gonna do. And I completely am ecstatic with that scenario. I appreciate anyone that owns up to their mistakes. I appreciate that. Will I ever do business with Bull Boost Imports again? I don't see why not. To be honest, I don't see why not. I don't see why, after this experience, right? They sold me a car that had issues. I don't understand that part. Let's scratch that. Everything that has came after that, paying for the repairs, at least doing the communication a little bit better would work better on my end. I'm the type of person that if I do something and the process is going to take 3 months, I at least want to have an update. You know, like, I don't want to be just put aside and forgotten about until the process is over. So one thing that happened during this entire process was the title had not arrived. The title kept getting delayed, and kept getting delayed. So that was what I called him about the Monday of Thanksgiving. I'm like, dude, I still haven't received my title. It's been over a month. And he said, hey man, I'll contact them and see what's going on. Well, long story short, the title got there that same day, but no communication. Like, hey, you know, I sent out the title today, or I did the work today. So I did the work to like do the title today, and you know, I transferred it, put it in your name. It should be shipped out within a week, and it should take 2 weeks to get there. Okay, good to know. If it takes an extra week, I'm not gonna be mad. But if I get no communication whatsoever, essentially that's when I'm like, hey, you know, it's been a month, my title's not here. Hopefully it didn't get lost in the mail because it is holiday season. You know, it could have gotten lost, but I didn't get that communication, which at the end of the day, it's all said and done now. We're good. He has paid for the repairs. There's nothing else to be done except for the gauge cluster, which I've already informed him of. So he will pay for that as well. And I have no problem. Like with the mechanic, I paid for the mechanic. I just said, hey, the mechanic is paid. This is the amount. Here's the invoice. Just send me a reimbursement when you get a chance. So I have no problem paying for this stuff. I just don't want to because it should have been addressed before the car was sold. That's all. That's my whole problem with the scenario, was that the car should have not been sold with issues. But with that said, I'm gonna do a little bit more driving. Then I gotta go pay taxes on the Miata because I still have to pay taxes because it was sold this year, so I still gotta pay taxes for this year. It's only like 63 cents or something like that. It's not a whole lot. I have to see if I can get the car registered in Kentucky because it still does not have odometer readings. It still does not work, essentially, the gauge cluster. So if they tell me that they need to be able to see that, then that'll be a problem. But if they don't need to see any of that and I can just register it in Kentucky, then we will be all right. So with that said, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything that I put out in the future. As always, peace.